Hello and welcome to this webinar on Power PPM. I'm going to present to you the new stuff we have done for Wave 2 and all the new features that we have worked on. My name is Simon. I'm the product owner of Power PPM, one of our big products here at Projecto. So lately, this is what I will talk about today. So I will start with a short introductions into our Wave concept. Then I will go with a walkthrough of the different features, and then finally do a live demo as well of those features. Then I will also explain a bit about how, as an existing customer, do I get these new features and how to upgrade, who do I contact. And at the end, we're going to look into what's coming for the next wave, which is Wave 3. So starting up here, if we look at our release cycle, we have had the need to streamline a bit how we release our products, and therefore we have introduced these waves. And the waves will this year come in 4 waves, and we are now here in Wave 2 in June, where we are in our second release this year. When we look a bit ahead, we will then come with the Wave 3 in September, on the 5th of September. So if we just jump straight into it, we are coming with features across the Power PPM suite, starting with our scheduling capabilities. So the first feature here I would like to show is cross-project dependencies. So in the Wave 1, we came with soft dependencies, where a task is not necessarily scheduled or auto-scheduled if I create a link between them. Now we also have cross-project dependencies, which means I can go to our program and create dependencies between our projects. And I just want to go in here and show you how that will look like. Let's just take it here. So I will show you here in our environment. So I go to a program where I have my 2 initiatives. I go to the timeline, and you will then see that I have some different projects in here. I have my accelerated growth, and I have my Sun 2. And between 2 tasks in my plan here, I will just like to create a dependency. So let's check the project management and say that's linked to the implementation down in my accelerated growth project. I create that link. You will see that it's the project management. It's actually later than the implementation. So there is a scheduling challenge here between those 2 tasks. Then I can go down to my initiative as a project manager. Let's open up the accelerated growth. And I will open the timeline here. So as a project manager, I will now see that on my implementation task, I have a small link here. And when I hover over, I will see which task is it, which project is it that is dependent on this, and what kind of link is it. I have the same over here in the Gantt bar. And if I click on it, I'm taken directly to that project. That's of course specific to the permissions you have in the system and can be set up specifically. I can also filter up here if I have any hard links in my plan, if I have any soft links within the plan. I don't have any in this specific project, or I can check if I have any cross-project links, and it will then filter out those ones in my plan. So that's the first feature we are releasing here in Wave 2. If I jump back into my slides here, then the second one is that the whole experience around creating tasks in the Gantt. We have received feedback to improve that, and we have incorporated a lot of that feedback from our customers and our partners. So we are going to have a more intuitive task creation, which means that if you create a task, it's always created right above, right below, and not indenting like it was before. If I'm using the indentation or the outdentation of a task, I will always see that it's staying in the position it's always been, like I would expect from other scheduling tools as well. And then we're also introducing a placeholder task, where I'm able to quickly create new tasks. I'm not going to show this since I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but when you get the new version of the Gantt, you will be able to try this out. And I'm pretty sure you're going to like that. We then take the third feature on the scheduling capabilities. We now have the baseline and the critical path that will be available for production. And we also have the possibility to show the Power Gantt in full tab. If you just jump in and check the baseline and the critical path, you will now see that the features that have an orange dot up here, that's the preview features. And you can now see that, for instance, baselines, I can show here, okay, I have a baseline on in an earlier stage, and how has my plan moved during the time. I can also decide to override that baseline, and I will then see that my tasks update. This is now in production, which means you can go out and use it on your production environments as well. So we're looking forward for you to try that out, and please reach out if that's something you want to use as well. Then we also have the critical path, showing the project manager either what tasks needs to be completed before the project can end. And similarly, if you have very large plans, we have showed the filtered critical path, which is then showing the specific task and automatically choosing the right dimension in terms of time. Jumping back in here, our third feature is on the financials module. So we previously saw that if you have a lot of previous years, for instance, you have imported actuals in your financials, you will see all the previous years when you click on a year, which can be quite confusing and not really necessary when you're working with financials. And then on top of that, you also have auto refresh when you're creating new cost specifications. So let me show you how that works. So again, jumping in here to my timeline, I go to the financials tab. And as you see here, I now have 2 years. If I add a previous year, you will see that it automatically focuses on that year. If I go to 2022, I will only see 2022 and not the other years. Then I will also see that if I create a new line here, could be hardware. It's already existing, so I will just create a second one. You can see that earlier I had to refresh the grid here before it was working. Can now go into the configuration, and I can say it should auto refresh. And I can actually also, just to show you this one, show selected year only. And when I go back to my financials, I only see that specific year. I don't see this, the previous years. And I also see that if I just create a new one here, let's take software this time, I also have that one, then it automatically refreshes. It's a small thing, but it's going to be ending up with more happy users in the end. Then we have also worked on some more usability improvements for the end users. So you're basically able to select if the year total should be on the right or the left, or if you want the sticky selected year as well to be frozen, to be more visible what the totals are for that specific year. So jumping back into the demo here, as a user, I can go to the settings area. I can say I want the year totals to be sticky, basically meaning that I now have the totals always sticky here. I can also select that it should be on the right. So you can see now it's actually on the right and it's sticky, which was actually what I showed before. Then we have done some cost plan version improvements. Cost plan versions is a way where you can baseline and create versions of your cost plan or financials, and it can be used to basically showcase how did my plan look in a previous stage, or making different versions to kind of simulate how would it look like if I created a new version and I want to see how is my forecast looking like, but I don't want to impact the existing budget or what I'm reporting in the organization as a project manager. And what we have done here is that when I create a new cost plan version, I can go in and select new. And let me say this is my webinar version. I can give it a description, and now I can select the version that I want to copy. Before I was always copying default one, but we are now giving a bit more flexibility for the users. So the current version is always selected by default, and then I can select from any other version. So let's take the budget 2022, and I will make this my plan of record. So that's the record that I'm gonna report within the organization. It's basically copying that plan. You can see that now I didn't have any data in this one. Or I can go in and create another cost plan version. I can copy it from the accelerated growth, or I can go down and create a copy without any data in it. So I want to start from scratch, and I just copy with an empty cost plan version here to start all over. So that's basically to create some more flexibility. For those of you that haven't seen what came in wave 1, we also have the possibility to go on quarters and years. This is something we also talked about in our Project Them First campaign. And I can now input data basically on a yearly level, and it's automatically distributed down to each specific month in that year. Then we have the Power Board. So the Power Board is basically a Kanban style board. It starts in the beginning as a maturation of ideas and the intake process. Can also be used as a Kanban board for task management, for instance, down the road. So in this case, I will just show you the task management. So we have this board here where I have all my different tasks. I can then go in and say, okay, the task implementation is now a key milestone as a category. And I can go down here and say, okay, I also want to set the Kanban status. So the implementation is now also completed. It will automatically update. I can also in here directly get the form where I can edit details. So this is also a way where I can then go in and update the data, giving a lot more flexibility on how to configure it for specific customer needs. It's also possible to set up rankings. So you can see here it has different priorities. So another way of using this is going to a product, for instance, and you want to rate the different ideas or the different backlog items. And it will automatically update the priority between those different ideas you have in here. And furthermore, you will also see that there's roll-ups. So you will have roll-ups in the very top, which will show you, for instance, how much budget do I have for my highly prioritized ideas, for instance. So that's different capabilities to also suit different customer needs. Yes. Then we have a new tool, and this is what we call Power Roadmap. This is a bit of a breakthrough for us, and it's a new way of basically visualizing your roadmaps across basically anything that you have in your PPM system. So imagine that when we looked into Power Roadmap, we were looking into how can we support our controlled agility framework, which is what you're seeing here on the right. So you can see we are trying to go in and support the portfolio management, the programs, and also combine that with how do you see epics lining up to a portfolio, programs lining up to a portfolio, and projects lining up to a portfolio. So we need some kind of overview where I can see all of those things. So basically, as you're writing here, the goal is to support users with roadmap views without enforcing task management. So we want to see it on a bit more strategic level without enforcing that we need to plan everything in a very detailed manner. What does that mean? It basically means that it's a new, what we call a PCF control, which allows you to create real-time timelines. Typically those ones that you would create in a PowerPoint with all your initiatives. There might also be some key results in there. There might be some ideas, but we need to showcase it all to management and upwards in the organization. It can be deployed on top of your existing Power PPM solution, and it will automatically configure based on portfolios, programs, and projects. We have in our pre-sales, we are configuring it to an OKR, which I will show you. We will show you a product breakdown and also the classic PPM structure. So it's basically consisting on the left, we have like a table section. So that's where you will see the names of the different initiatives, programs, portfolios, and products. And you can also set up custom columns. And this is where it really comes into hand because you can have different custom columns from different tables shown in the same column. And on the right, you will have a timeline section where you can basically show the progress based on work items. And it doesn't matter if it's an initiative or it's a task. We can roll that up to any level, basically. So this is a bit on the configuration as well. So we have some different areas that we can configure, set up the different, you can see here it's strategic objectives, key results, initiatives, and epics in one view, which is something that's not been possible to do before. Setting up custom columns very easily, setting up features, showing different markers. So let me just show you how that all looks like. So I'm back in here in my Power PPM environment, and you can see that if I go to this specific initiative and I go to my portfolio, which is the first way I can visualize this roadmap. On the form of the portfolio, it's automatically filtering on those programs and those initiatives and those products that are connected to this portfolio. And you can see here that I have some programs that tie up to a portfolio. I have some initiatives that's not necessarily in a program, but it's also tying up to that portfolio. And I can visualize all of that in the same roadmap here. That's something we've not been able to do earlier. So we're very pleased to be able to show you this as well. You can see that I have the names here of different initiatives and programs. I have a link column, so this could take me directly to that specific initiative. I have the type of table here, and then I have the budget. So let's just dwell a bit on the status column here. So you can see that I have a status for a program and I have a status on initiatives. But the status is not the same field, right? If you're on an initiative or a program. So how do we actually set that up? So just to show you this in the configuration, I will go in here to tables. You can see I have my different tables: program, initiative, product, epic, and portfolio. And I have my custom columns. So I can basically set up a KPI here, and you will see that then I can select a specific column from the different tables. So program, it's KPI status 2, initiative, it's KPI 2, a product has another field, epic, portfolio, and so on. And we can all use that to visualize across the different tables, even though we want to track status in the same way. This is a read-only functionality. So it's for visualization. The actual updates happens on the lower level. You will see that I can basically choose what dimension I want to look into. I can filter. I only want to look at a specific program. I could take a screenshot and I can export that, show that to my management as well. Then I have the possibility up here to toggle intervals. So you can see, for instance, we have used the waves that we have in Projectum. And let's just go down to quarters so we can see it a bit more clearly. So you can see with the wave 1, we have the wave 2, and then we have the wave 3 here in June, and we have in September wave 4. So this is basically how you can visualize that. You have the budget dimension where you can also roll up budgets. And then we have one last thing as well. If I go here to features, let me take this one. I can decide if I want to have programs with no portfolios. I want to have projects with no portfolios or programs. So I can set all that up to tailor it to the specific needs of visualization. And this can be, as I said a bit earlier, anyone can do this on top of the existing solution, and it ties into what you're already having. It's automatically deploying with the portfolio, program, initiative / project that we're having in here. And then there might be a scenario where this is not just on a portfolio level where I want to see this. I also want to see it across all of what I'm doing in the organization. So we have also enabled that you can actually show this on a dashboard. So in here, this is a Dynamics dashboard where I now have the PPM roadmap. Here you see the same breakdown as I saw before. I'm just going to go in years so I can visualize a bit better. I want to see here, what do I have in a grow portfolio? I can see the different programs. I can go all the way down to the initiatives. I even have some initiatives with some milestones. So I can also visualize those specific milestones. I also have initiatives that is in no portfolio. So I might need to be able to track those by putting them into a portfolio. And then I can also go to the OKRs. So with the OKR overview, I can basically visualize, I have these objectives from a strategic point of view. Then I have my key results. So I want to win the war for talent. And to obtain that, we have a key result of hiring 15 more SMEs in 2022. And I have some different epics that is then tying up into that key result. Could also be that I have specific initiatives or both initiatives and epics tying up to that. So we are not bound in that it has to be a classic PPM hierarchy. It could also be that I want to see it from the product perspective. So now I have my different products. For instance, I have Power PPM, where I'm the lead. I can see all the different epics that we want to work on and all the different features that we want to work on. That could be coming from an agile planning tool with an integration, and then we can visualize it in this roadmap. So the whole idea here is to, for instance, do it like this, take it into a presentation, and then this is what you're showing. I can select the different outline levels, go to level 2, go to level 0, and so on as well. So that was basically roadmap. You can try it out today. I believe at least that it's a matter of when most will need it, not really if, because we are seeing a lot of attention and a lot of requests going into how can we visualize the different layers in our portfolios, our products, and seeing that in the same overview, because that's very hard to do that today. That was basically the different features that we have for Power PPM here in Wave 2. And the next question is, of course, how do I upgrade? So as an existing customer, if you have an SLA, create a ticket to us, ask how you can upgrade, reach out to your consultant or your key account manager. Everything can basically be upgraded individually. So you can get the Gantt by itself, you can get financials by itself, you can get Kanban by itself, and you can get roadmap by itself. So everything is able to upgrade by itself all together, and we hope, of course, that you will upgrade as soon as possible. So then, looking a bit into what's coming for Wave 3, this is how it's looking like for Power PPM. So the first thing is that we have wanting to build a bit more on the program management in Power PPM. And what we are gonna look even more into is program templates. So being able to apply specific tasks from a template to a program. Typically, that's a set of milestones that we need to achieve before the program can be completed. And also looking into building blocks. So creating specific templates from a PMO or at least centrally that can then be applied from a user perspective to a plan. More will come on that as well. Then we are going to have on the scheduling as well, task lookup filtering. And that means that basically, let me just jump back in here to the system and go to a specific initiative. So today, when I have a lookup, for instance, here on resources, I'm always seeing everything. And we want to make sure that you can decide with a view, what is it actually that I should be able to see? Should I filter out inactive users, for instance? It needs to be specific possibilities that I should see in here, not just everything. Then we have a schedule template pop-up, meaning that if you don't necessarily want a template just being applied, you want to leave it up to the leader of that specific initiative. We will create a pop-up which will basically ask which template do you want to add to this project. We typically see that you are choosing between, is it an agile project, is specific project type you're using here, and that process is what we want to basically optimize. So looking forward to releasing that as well. Then we are going to look into S-curves, and in this S-curves is on the financials. So seeing how is your budget progressing, and how does your actuals and forecast then align with that budget that you are expecting. Then we are gonna work into having a more interactive Power Matrix. The idea here is that we will have a way of prioritizing ideas. So building on top what we already have with the Kanban, but in another view, being able to drag and drop in the way that you prioritize ideas, risks, and so on. So basically having a matrix to show that. Then we are going to look into our Power Board. We're going to release that to production, finish off some sharp edges, which of course is in a preview release, incorporating the feedback we get from you guys as well. So please reach out if you're seeing something is missing on the Power Board. Reach out if you want to try it out while it's in preview here in Wave 2. We are happy to help out and we would love to get some feedback. Same goes to the Power Roadmap. Reach out if it's something you would like to try out. It's pretty easy to add on top of your existing tools. So we would really like to also go in a direction where a Power Roadmap gets something that everyone can use, of course, outside the preview we are having here in Wave 2. And then in general, we are looking into having user guides, so standard user guides embedded in Power PPM as general, but also when you're doing your configuration to have more help texts, making it generally easier to set up Power PPM and helping both end users, consultants, and also customers that have to decide and configure the end user journey and the user adoption in the end when you are implementing your projects out in the organizations. So yes, that was basically everything from my side. I would like to open up if anyone has some questions, then please ask them now. Okay. Yes.
So first question, what are the blue cross on financial?
Yes, I'm just gonna go back in here to show. I believe this is what is being asked here. And basically what this means is that you can define if a specific specification, so the third level here, if it should be positive or negative numbers. So for instance, now you can see a blue cross here. I cannot input, you can see it turns red here, so I cannot input any negative numbers in this cell. And the way that's set up is that, let me just show you here for that specific specification. I can choose here if it's only positive or negative numbers from a central perspective. It's typically being used if you use the financial grid for benefits or for business cases. So imagine that you want to calculate the amount of products or a price per unit. You only want people to input positive numbers and help them in that manner to actually only input the positive numbers to get the right result in the end. I hope that was good enough answer.
Next question, the timeline in roadmap, can it show the gates too?
That's a very good question. And it of course depends a bit on how you have set up your specific solution. Basically what we can do is that on the initiative level, if I'm just going to go into the configuration now. I know it's going to be a bit technical, but let me take the initiatives. So I have a lot of options here, but I basically also have my task table. So I can choose, do I want to use gates or dates from Gantt tasks? So basically, if it's set up that you have the gates in your tasks, it can be set up. It could also be that you have gates in another table. It could also be set up. There needs to be some kind of related table where it needs to be. But if you have the specific need and it's not really matching to what you're looking into, then please reach out to us. It's still in preview, so we're happy to also incorporate feedback.
Is it also possible to have the main milestones in the roadmap? Yes,
very good question. So what we have seen is, of course, when you're building a roadmap here, you typically don't want to show everything because it is a high-level overview that you want to provide to someone who doesn't have all the need for the detail. So if I go back into the initiative again, I can basically add a view as a filter. So you can see here, if I can decide to say, okay, I only want the initiatives or specific initiatives. I can also, let me just go in here. I think we don't have, you could set up the tasks as well. And in those tasks, you can then choose a specific view. You could, for instance, create a view that is only filtering on critical milestones or only milestones. And then you would use that in here. So it's pretty flexible and we should be able to accommodate that for sure.
When are all these new features released, especially Power Board and Roadmap?
Yes, so Power Board and Roadmap, we know that that's where there's a lot of interest. It's released in a preview right now. That means that you can go and try it out. We don't recommend to put it into production yet, but go and try it out. Give us some feedback, especially here with the roadmap. It's just a visualization, right? So try it out, get the feedback, and then we will actually expect to be ready with a production-ready version already in September. So right after the summer vacation for most people. Okay, perfect. Any other questions? I'm happy to answer at least. Okay, then I think I will just say thank you very much, and thank you for looking into this and signing up. We're looking forward to showing you even more features in Wave 3. And as you know, we are continuing on focusing even more on user experience, user adoption, and also being able to look into the strategic layers of the PPM landscape. So thank you very much, and enjoy your summer, and looking forward to talking to you all. Thank you.